We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. Should you eat the dip or is it over? No doubt people in crypto are going to act like it's over. I don't think that at all. At all. Now, I'm under the weather today, so I'm going to give it to you quick and easy. When you see a market like this that gets somewhat euphoric and then comes off, it's easy for people to believe what I call the knife experience, where they remember what it was like last time it went down and they freak out. So the way I want to handle this is, even though you got like a 13 top in, say, Solana, and we knew that yesterday, and we were saying, okay, well, if you get a shallow dip or a deep dip, we'll evaluate it from there. What I want to do is look at 90-minute charts, like short-term tactical charts, and see if we can figure out where the bottom is. One of the things you have to remember is, as everyone piles into equities, they're piling out of bonds, and interest rates are moving up, which is not good for crypto. But every time crypto has freaked out about macro stuff, it corrects, the macro stuff comes and goes, and then we're back to business. Okay. So let's welcome who's on the stream. DH, good morning. Good morning, sir. Ben Zapadas from Hungary. Carmenko, Warmon, Tyler, Mitchell, Jav, Aaron, Old Smoky, and Honest. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show on a down day. You should be looking at the market intensely on down days, particularly AI and anything related to that. And the thing that's ironic in crypto is you gotta dive pretty hard, especially if you can find things like AI and privacy together. I'm working pretty hard with ChatGPT. I go back and forth in the same query between ChatGPT and Perplexity. There are these coins in the 25 million market cap zone. And I continue to believe the next trade will be for real when it comes to AI and crypto. They have done that trade in legacy for years. And I don't think they can do it anymore because these tech companies are in such a rush to build data centers. The amount of money that they're spending on data centers, they can't cut costs fast enough to keep up with that. So what kind of earnings are they going to have? How the heck do you trade the next narrative or the same narrative at the next level? Okay. So you've heard this from me before, and the question is, find the bottom. That's it. Find the tactical bottom. Let them hit it. Maybe they hit it 3 days in a row. Maybe they're done today after equities. But I look at this and I go, wow, it's Christmas. Now, it's possible I could be an overly bullish moron. We're going to find out. We are. I would rather make the mistake of buying a little bit too early than chasing this thing if it turns. Because if it does turn, you're going to have to chase it. Okay. Let's share screen and let's go through the relevant news. Okay. Very interesting thing right here. Brian Armstrong from Coinbase is hiring anybody who was working for Doge, particularly the young kids who all dropped out of school, like the genius prodigies, to work for Musk. Why would they do that? Because the Doge guys know where all the bodies are buried. They have information about the government, right? And Coinbase wants all of those guys to make sure nobody ever messes with Coinbase again. There's never going to be a sequel to Gensler. Now, it is amazing that Coinbase is doing this, but it's also amazing that crypto has come to a point where they actually have leverage over the government, whereas Gensler scared everyone to death. This is the dawn of Coinbase becoming the new Goldman Sachs, I think, where they're like the marquee organization that, drives all of crypto, like the big investment banks did back in the day. Okay. Animoca Eyes New York listing. Okay. Everybody wants to go public. Now, be careful with these random texts. Okay. Protecting our customers and standing up to extortionists. I am getting texts all day long. This is Coinbase support. Somebody has tried to get into your account. Don't touch any of that stuff. Don't. It's funny how New York now wants crypto. It's funny. Everybody wants crypto. All the headlines in the news are bullish on crypto, yet crypto goes down anyway. How do you reconcile that? I think you reconcile it as they flush the market out when it turns, like they can all see the 13 top in Solana, and then they smack the market. And when they smack the market, they're trying to push out weak longs. Binance will liquidate the longs, $250 million liquidated. That headline is probably coming. And then they hoover up everything. Okay. Small businesses can be their own bank using Bitcoin. It is I know I said this last year. It is a question of time before small businesses are accepting crypto for Christmas. People who are in crypto, like especially if there's a good run later in the year, they'll have money to spend. Whereas I think now it's kind of funny. No one's got money to spend despite the fact that inflation has gone to zero. But that doesn't mean that prices have gone back to where they were 5 years ago. So everyone's going to compete for the business of the crypto bros. Okay. So the orange man continue to get whatever he wants, right? The Iranians are like, hey, let's do a deal. Let's get rid of the sanctions. Best way for these guys to stay in power is to have their economy function perfectly. And then, of course, the orange man will undoubtedly, I don't know, get something, have them stop selling their oil to China, sell their oil to us. I don't know. But the orange man is getting whatever he wants. Now, if that's true, hopefully that translates over into Bitcoin. But the optics on the foreign policy are terrific. Mexican billionaire shares portfolio. 70% Bitcoin, 30% gold. No bonds, no stocks. Buy the Bitcoin dip, think 10 years because it's a limited asset. Dollar cost average monthly to remove uncertainty. If you have $10,000 in Bitcoin or $20,000 in Bitcoin, when the AI, let's call it a shift, happens, you're going to be okay. Your kids will ask you, What did you do? What did you do when Bitcoin was under 100K? My daughter used to be a dancer. Every day we have something like this. Okay. And now PayPal, Mastercard wants to do stable coins. PayPal wants to be the gateway product into Bitcoin and crypto. Everybody wants in. Now you're probably wondering, if everyone wants in, why does it go down? Because they can hit it and get your crypto. That's how. Right? It's the oldest trick in the book. Meanwhile, back at the stock ranch, the post-Liberation Day rebound is almost as fast as the cough, cold, and flu bounce. Only difference is the Fed did not inject several trillion. Okay. Now, why is that happening? Because $1 in stocks is better than $1 in the bank. Because they're not going to stop spending. The bond market is going to be kaput, and the Fed is probably going to have to come in later. But in some ways, stocks going up is $1 devaluation. Like, Warren Buffett is holding a lot of cash, and, he didn't have to deal with the decline in the stock market. Okay. But holding stocks is better than holding dollars. And if holding stocks is better than dollars, then holding crypto is better than holding dollars. And here comes talk to AI agents like BankerBot for right inside Coinbase wallet. This AI DeFi crossover is going to be epic. In the beginning of DeFi and then later in 2021, you would hop around from place to place. Like first it was hot, DeFi was hot on Ethereum. Then DeFi got hot on Solana. Then DeFi got hot on Avalanche. Then DeFi got hot on Phantom. And it was just all the money just kind of jumped around from hot place to hot place. If you have something like that, again, AI agents are going to be the one moving money around. You're going to send your money to a wallet, or you could send your money to somebody like PayPal, and they have the agent going out and finding yield for you. Now, I don't know if it's going to be PayPal, but it could be somebody big like Coinbase, because they're putting it in their wallet. So how soon is it before they have people depositing money at Coinbase saying, we'll give you a 6% yield, knowing that they have AI agents out there creating yield, basically acting like trading units. This isn't coming soon. This is happening now, and no one has traded it. Even if all you did was grab Aave, not investment advice, the DeFi houses are going to have huge capital flows, because either the banks are going to do it, or these things in DeFi will become banks with AI doing the trading. It's going to happen. It's absolutely going to happen. It's happening right now as we speak. Now, let's talk about what's going on in crypto. The objective is to find a tactical bottom, right? So the problem in the market is that Solana went up. It made a 13 top. Bitcoin was close to a 13 top, and now they're going to flush it out. Okay. How long can they flush it out? I don't know. Let's pretend they flush it out for 10 days. That'd be Christmas. You know, if they unwound all this and everybody who FOMO'd in gets stopped out, you'll fill the market up with doubt and fear again. And that is a screaming buy. So if you go to the Solana tactical chart, you know, ironically, this 12 means you got one more down thrust to a tactical low. This 9 would indicate you're close to that already. Like, you want to look for this, whatever it is. Like when the day traders cover their shorts, that's when you get long. And they'll tell you, right? Because they probably sold it up here because everyone was euphoric, and those guys sell when your people are euphoric, and it comes back down here and you have a 9 bottom in XRP after they run the stops, right? Just like they tried to run the stops here and here. They get everybody out, and then you get these wicks like you see over here. See how you're getting these wicks down? It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. This is also going to be a new thing. Now you can borrow, right, against your Bitcoin. So everyone's going to want your Bitcoin, and they're going to loan you money against it because no one wants to sell. Why would you sell? I mean, even the people who are bearish MicroStrategy are buying Bitcoin. Like they're short MicroStrategy, long Bitcoin. Personally, I think that's a mistake, but everybody is figuring out a way to be long Bitcoin. Everybody. So back to the subject of a tactical bottom. I was kind of wondering if my trading system is broken because ETH isn't moving. It's not moving. Okay. Bitcoin runs the stops at support at 102. So down, 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 down. Oops, perky. Right? These declines, like what have we talked about the bull market, right? First, they knocked it down for months, and then they left it there. Let's go back to like the extreme example was ETH. Like it's a bull market clinic, right? So straight down, and then it gives you this winter price action. Then it goes up, and then they bore you to death. They just bore you. Like, what was the difference between this and this? Nothing. It was just at a slightly higher level. So it was easy for you to think this was BS. So it starts with disbelief, right? Then people go, well, it's up, great, but it won't continue to go up. All right. And then a lot of people FOMO in at the top. Then it goes down. Okay. And then everybody is afraid of this. Boom, boom. The knife experience. Very common when bull markets are starting. It was that way in equities in 2009. Fear is your friend. In other words, if they get bearish, if they hit it for 3 days, if it's down 10%, personally, I don't care. I don't care. I mean, what? We're going to go running scared after living with this? I mean, that's the extreme example. In Solana, we're going to go running scared after dealing with 280 to 100. You wanted a dip? people were asking me here, when's the dip? The dip is here. Like, just look at the tape. And again, for people joining late, I'm sorry. I'm very under the weather. So I don't have the thundering boom that you would normally have, but I'm making it through. All right. So thank you for being patient and understanding. Sui down 5%. Arrow down 5%. Right. It's funny. When you get stuff like this, it's funny how this was the top, right? Steak and Shake launching Bitcoin on Friday, kind of like Coinbase's commercial. The cringe on this is unbelievable. Now, I'm sure there's a novelty in going and paying with Bitcoin for a one-off. Like, I'm sure you got a truckload of Bitcoin. So it's fun to go to Steak and Shake and be one of the first people. But why would you do this on an ongoing basis? When every institution on the planet is hoovering this stuff up, right? Now, there's also a point with this. Don't let them trick you into parting with your crypto just because it goes down, right? Steak and Shake doesn't know it's going down. You do, right? And you're not going to do that. And this comes from somebody in the McAfee universe. Eat the dip, okay? Wait for them to freak out and then enter. Now, so everything I said the other day about Lux Algo putting support underneath the market, they're just going right. They're coming right to you. They're coming right to you, especially if they drop the market, right? Solana basically is at the bottom, close to the bottom of its support zone. Now, of course, if it goes any lower, I mean, Sui does look a little toppy, but remember, this is kind of where the give up trade started from, or maybe it's this level, like this zone is where all the resistance was. So it's not Lux Algo, but it's common sense. It's common sense. And the problem with the market is bonds. This was like euphoria in bonds because everybody was like, oh my God, stocks are going to zero. It's a recession. Oh, buy bonds. And then all of a sudden, TLT, which is the long bond ETF. So it's an ETF filled with 20-year bonds. That's weird. But everyone's like, oh my God, I need bonds. And then everybody's like, oh God, we don't. And then the orange man's not going to stop spending and they're doing tax cuts. So bonds don't like that. And then everybody goes, Bitcoin is doing great. It's outperforming even as interest rates rise. And everybody goes, yay. And then boom. Nothing outperforms forever. So this could be ugly. They could penetrate this support. They're already back at the oh my God lows. If they flush everyone out and freak everyone out and mortgage rates go higher and Besant has to get to the podium and everybody goes, gee, Mr. Besant, I thought everything was going lower. I thought rates and eggs and gasoline. I mean, gasoline's been higher when I went to the pump every week for 3 weeks. So if you have rates higher, there's one solution to this, and that's called Treasury QE. Right? The Treasury issues $3 billion. Then they take the other $3 trillion or whatever. They issue a certain amount of bonds, and then they take in more than they need, and then they take that money and inject it into the system like high-powered money. Now, do you understand what that means? No. Do I understand how they do that? No. But they cannot let the Treasury market fall apart. They cannot. And the Treasury market's going to challenge them again because the things that they're talking about are just, frankly, not Treasury market friendly. They just continue to spend, right? Like the orange man wants his big, beautiful bill for optics because that's what the orange man is all about. Looking good, right? He's out in Saudi Arabia. He's looking good. He's looking good. And that's what he wants. That's his thing. So if the bond market blows up, not exactly good for him. Okay. Bahrain's restaurant group becomes the first public company to buy Bitcoin in the Middle East. Nothing stops this train. Yeah, what train is that exactly? It's the train where everyone gets off fiat currencies. In other words, a dollar devaluation is in progress, but it's also a devaluation of all of fiat, which is why you eat the dip. You eat the dip for two reasons, okay? And again, for everybody joining late, I am very under the weather, so this does not have the thunder that it usually does. You want to trade the future of money, and you want to get involved in this AI robotics train, okay? Trade. So the obvious train is Fetch, artificial superintelligence token, Tau, Render, and even they're talking about even super boring things like the Graph and Filecoin. That's almost, basic. But if you got to get basic, you got to get basic. Then you got to get Bitcoin on the dip, right? Or any crypto. And I continue to believe that if you can get involved and get any crypto going, like if you can follow one of the day traders in the group and make a little money and get a little taste, you get a little taste, you're going to want more, right? Where is he? Is he here? Where is he? Eat the dip. Just eat it. Because one day, soon, you won't get dips. This was the way it was in 2017. 2017, you would get these literally. There was the occasional 40% washout. But when you would have these things, after it, you didn't get dips. It just went banana zone. Think like you're in a science fiction movie. And the whole world's going to change and it's weird and there's robots walking around. You've seen science fiction movies. At least my generation grew up with them. Now you have to trade the science fiction movies because you want to make money because it's an epic trade and you want to be cognizant of the future. Be cognizant of the future. Trade the future today. Don't trade the future when everyone else is trading the future. Trade the future today. Okay, people, that is the under the weather market update. Let them hit it. And whatever you do, don't let them take your crypto. I will hopefully see you tomorrow.